The overall crypto space is growing to a point where we're going to see mass adoption happen to some degree this cycle, and at least definitely the cycle thereafter, which means, of course, us early adopters and us speculators are going to make hand over fist. We just have to position ourselves correctly. Today, I'm going to bring you the news that has recently come out in regards to Ethereum, massive news, mind you, and what that means for our beloved altcoins, and a little bit of tips and tricks along the way as well. So make sure you stay tuned. And guys, if you are listening to this right now and you do find yourself loving what I say, or you want to achieve all your crypto goals, go down there, hit the like and subscribe button with the bell on. Not only will you achieve those goals this cycle, but also you will make me sing in the shower. I know, that's quite the thought. The news comes in relation to the ETFs from Ethereum, okay? We're not talking about Bitcoin ETFs anymore. This is Ethereum ETFs. Now, we've known about this for quite a while, even back as far as when the Bitcoin ETFs were murmured around. However, the final deadline for these are in a few days, May the 23rd here for the US. And this was interesting. A lot of people deemed that there was no chance that we would actually see these approved. And yet, James Seffert, the guy who pretty much said there's almost no chance, a few days ago, while there's been new information, he works for Bloomberg in their analytics section, and he's quite well versed in the ETF space, particularly updating the crypto market. And he has now come out and said, well, hey guys, we have a 75% chance on actually having these approved somewhat around May the 23rd. Okay, now why the sudden news? Well, also we see DB over here say that because the SEC has asked exchanges to update 19B4 filings on an accelerated basis. So they're telling them, update these filings. By the way, these filings are more or less layman terms way of just saying this is part of the process in terms of actually approving and activating these ETFs. It's one of those, of course, is the fact that the Democrats are seeing sort of some of the Republican candidates talk so positively about crypto that they're now saying, well, hey, Gary, get rid of your sort of ban on the crypto markets, or at least you're sort of overweight on the whole Ethereum thing, and let's get pro-crypto before these elections. So it's a very good year. I think things are wrapping up for us quite well here to see some of these, both sides of the American election race kind of being pro-crypto, because in the White House, there's apparently quite a lot of weight now being applied to the crypto space. It's actually part of the sort of checklist in terms of what they kind of have to talk positively about for their sort of election race, okay? So this is all very good news for us, because at least up until about November, December, January, whenever this is all finalized and whenever we have a new or current president in place in the US, they might change the shift then, but until then, they're going to be probably pro-crypto to encompass all of the positive voters in this space. This reminded me very much so of back when I was making videos on the Bitcoin ETF, where we kind of had that final deadline in place, and a lot of people were speculating at least it would happen by then, okay? And as I mentioned, Ethereum's are pretty much right on that cusp right now. We pretty much have the final deadline here for a few of these, and so that's why a lot of people have believed that, in addition to the SEC saying, hurry up, crack the whip, get your filings over to us so we can kind of do something with them, right? It's pretty well almost a given at this point, unless they're really trolling us, that they're likely going to approve something at that point in time. So all well said and done. But the one thing I want to point out in this case, guys, is the fact that once this, or if they are approved, should I say, that there still is the final S1 applications to be approved. Now, the S1 applications, there is no deadline. This could take a week or two. This could take a few months. No one really knows. But at least if by May the 23rd, these are approved, we can then comfortably know, hopefully sometime this year, at least by when the bull run's really ramping up, that we'll have an extra catalyst on our side to have even higher pressure, okay? So what are the S1 documents? Well, they're pretty much just that final sort of step in, again, allowing these issuers to actually post up these ETFs, okay? So all very good news. Now, what does this mean for altcoins? Well, very simply, we all know the path to alt season chart by now. It just depicts the rough money flow in the space. Bitcoin usually leads the herd, up and down. Whatever happens to Bitcoin, if money flows in, it then goes into Ethereum. Now, of course, with the possible ETFs, we're going to see a whole heap more money flow into now Ethereum, so it might actually skip some of that process and then flow into large caps and alts. Now, I've heard people time and time again say, well, Kyron, won't this sort of block that? Won't now money just get thrown into the ETFs and Bitcoin and Ethereum and not really flow down? Well, no, because what we're looking at here overall in the grand scheme of things is demand and interest. Okay, if we kind of have something like Bitcoin and Ethereum now accessible to a whole heap more people and most importantly institutions, that's going to give people the vote of confidence to want to get into the space and throw money into Ethereum and Bitcoin traditionally. Not in these ETFs, but traditionally, okay? Now, this will, of course, lead to a flow-on effect, and a lot of people will just come in buying altcoins in general, especially those in the vicinity of people like myself, who people know in the community love talking about crypto. They'll begin asking others through word of mouth, how do I get in? How do I get in? You know, almost every person I talk to these days says, Kyron, how can I get into crypto? Which is fantastic, right? Because that's how it spreads. That's how I got into crypto. Chances are that's how you got into crypto. Most of us, or at least I believe very few of us, got in based on our own sort of interest, stumbling across Bitcoin online, okay? Most of us were told about it, so there you go. Now, what does this mean for altcoins? Well, first of all, the whole entire market's up right now because of this news, basically. It was just a sudden bang. Everyone kind of woke up and was like, hey, this is happening right now. This is amazing. So it was very, very sudden, not expected at all. As I said, James Seffert, the guy who actually brought us the Bitcoin ETF news, that Bloomberg analyst, even he was shocked because a few days ago, he said it's almost positively unlikely that if that's even a thing, positively unlikely. It was very certain, basically, that we wouldn't actually have these ETFs approved at least this time around. And now it's completely flipped 180 to almost being certain of them being approved. So yeah, the market's reacted, guys. If we have a look at the Bitcoin Ethereum comparison chart here, the dominance chart, we can see that, you know, even with Bitcoin pretty much breaking all-time highs, again, we have Ethereum actually beating BTC as dominance. So, of course, massive green candle over here. And on Ethereum's chart, it's been nothing but parabolic, okay? The market is pricing this in, and until those S1 filings are actually submitted, I believe it will be positive pressure overall for Ethereum because, again, the market needs to price this in. Typically, Ethereum is a bit of a slow mover in terms of reactions. Once a particular news or event happens, it can take some more time for it to ramp up, which of course can be a good thing in this case. Like we saw with the Bitcoin ETFs, where there was that massive hype boost that ultimately led us into the actual bull run itself back in sort of October, November, December. It kind of launched and pulled the whole market up with it. And then on the actual day, once those filings were completed and finished, and we had those listings, then the market dumped, okay? Again, this will be a similar situation. Don't think it's different. It's never, ever different in crypto. Time and time again, people say, well, this time is different. No. Market reacts based on the news, and then the event itself is always a sell event, unless that particular event itself causes something economically within the protocol to give it some sort of expansion reason, okay? Which in this case, it doesn't. In this case, it's completely news-based. We're going to have an inflow likely, of course, in these ETFs, quite large, I do believe. Not as large as Bitcoin, but quite substantial. And then, of course, over time, it will continue to increase, thus bringing the market cap of Ethereum up. But you compare this and add this with the EIP upgrade to burn Ethereum. I mean, this is fantastic, right, guys? Now, there is the argument to say, well, this is moving away from the cypherpunk dream. What we're saying is that we're giving these decentralized, peer-to-peer electronic currencies, and in Ethereum's case, these smart contract currencies, to these giants, right, which we're trying to move away from. That was the reason why Bitcoin was created, to move away from this institutional oversight. And now we're welcoming them back in again because we were pumping our own bags. So, of course, we have the interest for us to move our money up. But in this case, it's like a bit of a two-sided sword, right? Where we're kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. But to make money, you kind of have to get them involved to some degree, unfortunately. Now, as I said, altcoins are up significantly. Here's my personal portfolio, and it's interesting to see that PIF is up the highest. That's for obvious reasons I'm going to mention in tomorrow's video. But nevertheless, a lot of these are up on the day. 7-day can be a little bit, constraining depending on where they were 7 days ago, open to close. But the last 24 hours, a lot of these coins are up. Near Protocol doing its own little thing over here. But a lot of them are up, which is good to see them reacting, and especially good to see them reacting at a time when, again, Bitcoin and Ethereum are taking most of the supply with them. They're taking most of the demand, and alts will, again, have their sort of time to some point, as obviously depicted by the path to alt season chart. So I think we're in for a massive, massive alt season here very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, when we were moving sideways this whole entire last 2.5 months, that you were in the market, okay? Not financial advice. This is why, if you're someone listening to a friend or someone saying to you, we're moving sideways, we're down, altcoins aren't up, so on and so forth, like it's a bad thing, sell or be panicked. No. Again, guys, what does every wealthy investor say? You buy when there's panic. You buy when markets are down. You buy when people don't want to buy because you're in a discount, okay? That is what you do when you go to a grocery store. You don't buy when prices are up, okay, when there's a lot of demand. You don't go into your local IKEA or whatever and go, oh, look, all these mangoes are out of season and these mangoes now are $10 for a single mango. You don't buy them when they're like that. You buy them when they're plentiful and in season, and there's plenty of mangoes to go around, and they're $1 a mango, okay? You hold off when they're expensive. The same thing in crypto, okay? You buy when these altcoins aren't being talked about on a dip or have an event that gives them some sort of negative press. You buy, and then when they go up again, everyone forgets about it. You're happy, okay? So just ingrain that in your mind. Don't listen to people scaring you and confusing you, and those of you who didn't will reap the rewards, at least I hope. And crypto is never a certain thing, especially in today's day and age. I hope you all do very well this bull run. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.